People talk about the mother wound, but I find even if you go down into like culture, and I love that you said like accentism, colorism, like different things, xenophobia, because the mother wound experience of immigrants and first and second gen immigrants, that's yet another layer, right? And no one even talks about that of like the Black American experience of a mother wound versus that, like how there's layers and slight differences and how it can be intensified and how it expresses itself.
Today, we have Nikki Valentine, a former people pleaser and workaholic. Nikki Valentine is a certified confidence coach with over 10 years of experience. She is helping high-performing women unlock the confidence so that they can live a life of fulfillment. She is helping people to redefine success and create a life of alignment and ease. So let's welcome Nikki Valentine.
Hello. Hello, Dr. Donna. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for coming. I am super excited to have you here. Now, I like to start off a little feelings check-in, just because I like to know what mindset we're already in, and then of course I have like a little follow-up question from it. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and I'm just asking, how you feeling?
Ooh, the one that immediately jumped out was feeling myself. I like
Ooh,
that one. I feel like myself. Yeah.
love it. Is there another one? You feeling yourself?
I would say also, ooh, I love this chart.
Oh, you gonna get
I
one?
feel content. I like that one as well. Feeling content.
Okay.
Yeah.
So feeling yourself and content, digging it, loving it. Mm. And I guess my question now is just like, well, given the givens that you are feeling yourself and that you're feeling content,
Hmm.
what do you desire to come out of this conversation?
Ooh, expansion. And here's why I say that is that as a coach, I think there is a certain perspective and more of a strategy focus with my clients. And so I talk about mother wounds a lot, but I would gather I talk about that in a different way than you do. And so I love to have expanded conversations because I feel like I will selfishly, I feel like I'm going to leave with a nugget.
Oh, you're looking for you. I like that. I like that. I like that because if I'm being for real, me too.
Ah,
Like,
no, I feel
like you watch the videos and I'm just like, okay, where the rest? Right. And I
there
know
is
that
more.
the rest is surely in the sessions.
Yes,
It's in the intensives. It's in the
absolutely.
workbook.
Absolutely.
Uh, hint to the people. Hint. That's where it is. So I know
Mhm.
that we will only ever be able to have a partial conversation, especially because we only here for like what an hour.
Yeah.
So we know that we can't. You're not gonna go in, but you're gonna go in.
Yeah, we're gonna go in a little. We're gonna go in a little.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess obvious questions first.
Yes.
How does one begin the process of even healing their inner child, given whatever wounds and things that they were given from a parent?
For me, the first step was awareness. And I
Mm,
think this is really critical for Black women because until you're aware of your wound, it usually shows up as self blame. So a lot of times when I see clients, it's, oh, I'm too masculine, I'm lazy, I'm not confident, I'm picking bad partners, I attract who I am, all of these things. Right. And so you just essentially feel like you're broken and you don't have an explanation for why that is. And so for me, the biggest shift comes from making people aware of, let me ask you a question. How's the relationship with your mom? And then that ends up opening doors. And once you're able to connect the dots and show people, like, do you know that some of the ways you show up in the world are
mm,
due to some of these things you experienced? You can just almost see the shame melt off of people and go, wait, what? I'm not just a random horrible person. And it's like, no, you're not. You're a human being who's experienced some things and your body and brain rewired themselves to try to survive. And so I think that
mm.
huge shift starts a healing path because you stop beating up on yourself and you at least have some language to work with.
You know what? I like this is a moment where I just want to pause because I think that sometimes people get it, but they don't get it.
Mm,
And what I mean by that is that like words get thrown around and people don't really have an understanding of what they mean. Now, you said shame. And I just want to stop here and let the folk know there's a difference between shame and guilt.
Correct.
Guilt is I did something bad.
Right. Mhm.
Shame is I am bad,
Mhm.
right? Like
Mhm.
doing something bad, that's an action.
Correct.
I am bad. That that is an identity.
Identity, correct. Yes. Yes. Yes.
And I think that sometimes we get into moving into an identity when it should not be an identity.
That's
So
right.
when you say that people, you see the shame melt off people, it means they're finally understanding that they are just a person and they are not a rotten person, a bad person, a broken you are a person.
Exactly.
That's different shit.
Mhm. Because it's like none of us are broken, and that's why the word healing is a little slippery,
Mm.
right? Because you can only heal something that technically is broken, but the word still applies. I technically think healing is just making better decisions when, like, large emotions and challenges come up, but yeah, you're just a
You
person
know
that.
you're gonna make me look up the daggone definition of healing. You know that, right? Because I'm one of those people, I believe in the operational definition, and, I think that knowing because words mean things, and
They
sometimes we be
do.
saying shit, but
Yeah, they
that's not
do.
at all what we meant. So
Mhm.
healing, the process of making or becoming sound or healthy again.
There we go. Sound and healthy, right? Because sound and healthy indicates that you're not broken, you just may be making unsound decisions or in an unhealthy place. S
Yes,
Totally different than you're a broken vessel that needs fixing.
fixing. Yes, and I think that that is also why I gravitate toward healing language, not toward fixing language.
Yes, correct.
Sometimes people come into therapy and they're just like, "Ooh, girl, I'm broken." And I'm just like,
Nope,
not seeing it.
nah.
As a matter of fact, people are often confused because I congratulate them. I'm just like, "Well, look at you."
Taking a
And
stand.
they're like, "Well, yeah, exactly." And I'm just like, "No, no.
No,
We
really?
not on the same page, sweetheart.
Right.
We don't believe the same thing." I'm saying congratulations because despite the hand that you were dealt, you
Mhm.
made it this far.
That. And you're aware that work needs to be done. Do you know
And
that
that's
I
the
remember learning way, 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 way back in the day in, like, Psychology 101 that some people are not capable of metacognition. Some people can't think about their thoughts. So if you got all the way to thinking about your thoughts and booking a session, you did pretty darn good before we did anything.
right, because you thought about your thoughts enough to know that the thoughts that you was thinking wasn't the thoughts that you wanted to be thinking.
Exactly. That, that.
You knew that them thoughts shouldn't
The
be thought,
thoughts were not
and
good.
that's
So
why
let's
you decided that's why you thought, "I
to
need to think
concede.
something else,
Right.
and I need you to help me change my thinking."
100%.
Thoughts and thonk.
100%. Yep.
So, how does like, I like that you said acknowledgement. That is the same
Uh-huh.
thing that a therapist would say, right? Like, all day and twice on Tuesday,
Good.
like, if you
And
don't
I like
acknowledge
to hear that, first of all, because here's the other thing I maybe part 2 of the first question you answered asked me
mm,
is, I'd like to get with the doctors. Can I just say that? And that's no shade because coaches are critical and we're needed too. But y'all went to school, god damn it. And boy, y'all have a different level of knowledge. And again, add so much depth to conversations. And I think that's important to say because I feel like people downplay that sometimes and it's not to be downplayed. So I'm always thrilled to have conversations with especially Black licensed therapists who did their darn thing. First of all, dissertation ain't no joke defending that thing. Let's be serious. Let's be clear. Okay. Okay. You did that. So to me, it's like, let's draw on that wealth of knowledge. And I'm excited that anybody that follows me will get to benefit from the richness of your conversation. So I'm excited.
Ah, I love it. Okay. So, like, I mean, you started with acknowledgement, and I love it when we start there.
Yeah.
So then after you acknowledge, then what?
Once we acknowledge, it's connecting the dots. So, okay, I have a mother wound. Cool. How is that actually showing up in my life and how is it a detriment to me? So sometimes what it is, and here's a great example. People who are wanting to launch something, but they're like, I probably need to go get another degree. I need to redo my whole website. I need to disappear for 6 months and pop back out. And they can never get to the place of launching because they keep doing that. Once you connect the dots, that do you know that's because of your mother wound?
Hey,
Do you know your
don't put my
secret?
business in the street.
It's my own business. I was there for many years.
I'm gonna need you to stop putting my business in the street. This
No.
this podcast right here has been in the making since 2017.
I
It
feel
has been, "Oh, but I'm not ready." Oh, and, like, if I'm being very honest with myself, I legitimately did not have time.
yeah.
Um, I I
Which
feel
I
like
find it cool.
like gang, gang. There's a gang and they gang up on me. And
Uh-huh.
the gang includes my husband and my mother.
Yep.
They have decided they are in cahoots. And both of them spend all their time telling me I'm doing too much. You don't rest.
That.
All you do is work. I noticed you didn't sleep well. Baby, did you eat breakfast? Mind your business. That's that, that is how I'd be like, did
But
you eat
when we
breakfast?
right, but when we realize why we do that, I always joke that I'm a recovering workaholic. And I didn't know why I was that way for many years. This coaching is actually my third business. I just love to run a business while I work full time. That was my jam, or it used to be, right? I Because one job just ain't enough. So, like, but I had to get down to brass tacks of like, it's not the money, because once the money that I wanted came, then that wasn't satisfying enough. Once the titles came, that wasn't satisfying enough. What is it, right? So once I finally connected the dots, it's like ripping a curtain open, and you're able to really understand why you are the way you are. Like, you can read all the astrology and the birth charts and the whatever. I remember my therapist actually said many years ago, my first session, she asked me something and I went, oh, that's just me being a Scorpio. She goes, oh, so we're going to blame astrology for our shadow side and work that we haven't done. And I was like, you're just going to come for me. You're going to come for me. Also, I
I am that
love you, and
therapist.
let's continue.
I will do that too.
But this is why I stuck with her for 3 years, because I was like, read me, please, in the spirit of the name of God, read me down, because I needed to hear it. She's like, no, let's talk about why you really do it, though. And it's not your astrology, and it's not where you're from. It's not any of those things. So once I was able to connect the dots, I was like, oh, wow. And here's the bonus: it made me able to recognize it in my own mother and see where this started. Because once I recognized it in myself, I saw it in her clear as a bell and was like, oh, that's where I get it from. And also, you probably got it from somewhere. Like, once the dots are connected in your life, you kind of see the whole thing, which lets you give yourself grace.
You know what? Like, in all honesty, I was asked what I wanted to get out of the conversation. And I was just like,
Mm.
you know what? I'm about tired of hearing mommy wound, daddy wound. I don't want to hear no more. I don't. And I'm not saying that I don't understand the significance
Sure,
because I mean books,
sure. Yes.
right? Books. And it's like I get it. And sometimes I feel like we've siloed the conversation unintentionally,
Yeah.
right? It's because it's like, yes, it's a parental wound, and your parents didn't get it in a bubble. Where did they get it?
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
How much of this is how much of this is how they react to capitalism? How
100%.
much of this is how they react
Yeah.
to patriarchy? How
Yes.
much of this is how they react to the white supremacist delusion?
Correct.
Right? Colorism. How much
Hmm.
of this is accentism or xenophobia? Or I'm just like, I'll be like, when
Yes.
we're having this conversation, are we also talking about the fact that society around us quite, quite simply, and in the technical term, is fucked?
Right.
I mean,
Right. Right. But
that's how I would define it.
yeah.
Like slightly,
Mm.
but not like fully, but like mostly. Just
Like salt me. It's like a little.
like it's like truly effed. And maybe it's too soon for this particular thing I'm about to say. Like, if California is on fire, it might be that because society is fucked,
While the East Coast is frozen. It's like it's
right?
giving
Like,
revelations. It's
if
giving
the
conditions.
weather patterns in your area are changing, if you are seeing un like unprecedented, if they say we are in unprecedented,
Unprecedented times. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
then we might could be fucked.
We might. But to your point, it's making people and ourselves aware that, again, you're not in a bubble of your own brokenness. Look at the amount of layers of things going on. You just said two things that were sparked my mind in terms of you're right. People talk about the mother wound, but I find even if you go down into like culture, and I love that you said like accentism, colorism, like different things, xenophobia, because the mother wound experience of immigrants and first and second gen immigrants, that's yet another layer, right? And no one even talks about that of like the Black American experience of a mother wound versus that, like how there's layers and slight differences and how it can be intensified and how it expresses itself and like how there's religion plays into that and into the shame layer and like right there's like so many threads that you're right. Just to say a person has daddy issues or like, oh, you've got a terrible mom is a little oversimplified.
Yeah, and I think what I'm scared of is that we've gotten into a space where nuance somehow stopped mattering,
Yes.
context somehow stopped mattering.
Mhm.
People see things in black or white, and that is not to say that I do not appreciate that some people are like, this is clearly wrong or this is clearly right. I appreciate them mostly because I've never been them and I don't know how to be. Right? Like when somebody's just like stealing is definitively wrong. I'm just like, is it?
Are you starving
You're
to
just
death?
hungry. And
Right.
if you just got hungry kids, but the bank account is looking like $0.00. And I've checked under the couch cushions and all I was able to produce was 2 pennies.
Right.
Um, watch me steal this bread, right?
She said, well, it's still this red. Is it
Watch me steal it, right? So I'm just like, is it is it worse for me to steal or is it worse for you to let me starve?
right? Right.
Right? So like I
Mhm.
know that in some ways that sort of gets into like a moral relativism,
Mhm.
but the point being that when we say mommy wound, daddy wound, I think that we've oversimplified it to blame the people who came before us without the context of the world that they lived in
Mhm.
and or that they're still living in, nor the world that we are also living in.
Mhm.
Because for research purposes, I done watched a bunch of your videos on
Oh,
mommy
thank
and
you.
daddy, right? Like mommy and daddy wounds.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yes, and
And yeah.
right? Like mostly because I believe there are multiple ways of knowing,
Yes.
right? And I think that sometimes the language that we use is the language that someone can hear.
Mhm.
But I find that based off what you said and what somebody told me about myself earlier, I'm very meta. Right? I be thinking about my thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, well, was that the thought that you wanted to think?
Right. Right.
Right? Like, and where is this sort of thought taking you?
Mhm.
So, how do we learn the context so that we can better understand the parents
Mhm.
and what was going on with them, and how do we sort of reconnect that to our own inner child
Mm.
and how we sort of go about our goals?
So for me, that's shifting into curiosity from blame.
Mm.
Because the more you know about who made you, the more you understand yourself. But you won't have a curiosity when you're looking for answers. You owe me an explanation. Why did you do this? Right? If you go in that way, and this is why I always tell people healing your mother and father wound has nothing to do with fucking with those people. Number one, it also doesn't require you to, the forgiveness is within yourself, right? It's not about letting anyone off the hook. But when you become curious to say, why are you this way? Once I started asking my parents those questions, how was your mother to you? I remember asking my mom that question. And when I heard about her life and some of the things that she witnessed from my grandmother, honestly, my mouth was open. The second thought I had was, where did you get the capacity to love us like that? And it was the first time I ever asked that question because as a kid, you're looking at all the things they didn't do and what they did wrong and how you feel slighted. But once I saw the tools that she didn't get and the love that she did not get and the crazy things that she witnessed, it actually gave me so much compassion because I thought to myself, so maybe the version of love that you showed wasn't perfect, but you literally were crafting it from nothing. The first time my mother ever received a hug from her mother was when she
Whole
was
ass goddess creating shit from nothing. Go
okay.
go.
That's alchemy, right? My mom, the first time she got a hug from her mom was at 35 when she left Jamaica and moved to America. One hug her whole life from her mother. And her mom died after we came to the States. So that was the one hug ever.
Like,
My mom hugs me 5 times in a day when I see her, right? So it gave me a different look at, do I want to record these wrongs? Or do I want to get generational context and understand who you are, what tools you were and you were not given, and then to do an analysis of what you did with what you didn't have? And it makes me look at you completely differently, and it allows me to forgive some of the things I didn't like and that were a tough experience for me, because now I understand those were human reactions to a very tough generationally wounded line of women.
ooh, I love that. I love that. I love that so much because sometimes I be wondering if my mama done messed up, right? Particularly because I mean, maybe you don't tell a child that she's smarter than adults. Maybe you don't do that. But my mama did.
Yeah.
So, you get the dollar you got before you today
Mhm.
as a result of this lady. Like the way that I questioned everything because she told me I was smarter than adults.
Yes.
And I got to a point in my life where I was just like, okay, Nigerian parents, immigrant parents are like
Mhm.
notorious doctor, lawyer, engineer.
Yes.
That's what doctor, lawyer, engineer.
Or
Those are
banished. Or banished would be the last option. If you
right,
don't get those, then you're
oh, you are disowned.
yeah, out of here.
My parents. I really had to sit in there, right? Because I wanted to be a dancer. That's what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
It's what I loved. I thought I was gonna do like a combination of ballet,
Yeah.
contemporary, some jazz. I thought I
Mhm.
was gonna be a dance.
Uh-huh.
And they were like, no, doctor, lawyer, engineer. And I was just like, okay, well, when I was young, I was like, well, I kind of want to be a teacher. No, doctor, lawyer, engineer. Okay,
Mhm.
cool, 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 cool. I mean, I can teach as this. And they were like, yes, through that you can teach. So when I started off wanting to do law,
Okay.
and I think I would have been good as a lawyer. If I'm being honest, I think I would have been
See
great.
it. I could definitely see it.
Then I came across my first psychology class in high school, and
Okay.
I was gone. I was
Okay.
lost to the love of mental health.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in, why doctor, lawyer, engineer? Why did that matter? Why is this the thing they wanted from me?
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? And the questioning, the
Yes.
sitting in it,
Yeah.
and realizing that doctor, lawyers, and engineers are paid.
Right. They just wanted security for you.
Doctor, lawyers, and engineers are not just paid; they're respected.
Correct.
They are educated
Mhm.
because you cannot be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer with
Without
no education,
correct.
with and without people respecting how
Right.
much education it requires. Because
Right.
it's like, even if you don't know a lawyer,
You
even
know
if
the
you don't
sacrifice.
know a doctor, even if you
Mhm.
don't know an engineer, you know that them people
They
was
work
in
hard.
school.
Correct. Correct.
Exactly. And I
Correct.
was just like, they want for me to
Yes.
be well respected and well paid.
Yes.
And it was almost always tied to, we will not be here forever, which was also a reminder of, we are going to die. We
Yes.
recognize that we're going to die.
Yes.
And I want to leave you in this world knowing
Yes.
that you will be respected,
That's it.
that you will be paid well, that you will have a roof over your head and food in your belly.
Come on.
And once I got that, I
Isn't
was
it
just,
so
the
different?
context of all changed.
Yes. Yes. Because it's like you weren't trying to crush my dreams. You
I
wanted
mean, but they did.
they of course. Oh, I wanted to be an artist. I
There's impact. It wasn't the intent, it was the
right.
impact.
I was a dancer and an artist too. So I absolutely feel you and ended up in tech. So but we picked we picked the right choice. But like, here's the beautiful part about that is you're absolutely right. The values underneath that were solid, right? And the intentions under it were solid. But when you're a kid, you just feel like, you're crushing my dreams, not letting me do my thing. I This is why I say, when you become an adult, the play is also part of honoring your parents, because through doing the stable thing and making the money, we get to have these conversations. We get to play. We get to learn ourselves. We get to do the things. That's what they wanted for us too. You have enough money that you can pay your bills and then go take a vacation. Girl, we couldn't do that. Live your life. So I almost shift it that way as well, of like, not just work hard for it, but enjoy it, because that's part of the legacy they were trying to leave. That's what they were. Now I kind of look at, and my friend the other day was like, you let your parents off the hook with murder. And I'm like, they won't be here forever, and you will be left with the blame when they're not here, right? I know so many people whose parents have passed, and all they're left with were all those pointed fingers coming back at them. And that's the worst feeling. So to try to seek understanding while your parents are here is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, because they will not always be here. And then who are you going to ask and try to understand, right? Like, so you're right. Once you kind of understand tradition and intention, and then you start to see, well, you're not so bad. You have a culture, and you have, like you said, there was patriarchy affecting you, and there were so many things affecting the narrative, that you simply passed on the narrative that you thought would keep me safe.
That
And
part.
I can't fault a person for that. You know what I mean? The methods might have been a little wackadoo, but
With method.
the methods were a little, you know what I mean? Jamaican parents, you pick up a book from Monin, like very intense, but like, thank you, girl. We got the degrees. We got there. We did what we're supposed to do.
Word. Like, we got there eventually.
We
And
got
I will say though that I also want to make it clear to anyone who watches this episode that does not mean that you need to forgive or talk to
Very
your people.
correct.
Just because understanding
Correct.
does not, it doesn't necessarily mean now go reconnect.
Correct. It can be
Sometimes you
the
need to
opposite.
understand from a
Yeah.
distance. And how that understanding happens, that's between you, your God, your conscious, your people,
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
Right? Like I
Yes.
can't tell you to go be and work things out with your
No.
parents because I was not your parents' child.
Correct.
You were. You
Yeah.
know what you experienced, do what you need to do.
Yes.
Now, you did mention this piece around like parents having like, because I mean, ultimately, it comes down to parents having a desire for the kid,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? What they want for the kid,
Mhm.
and this desire. I guess I'm in a space of like, how does one reconcile that the parent has a desire, you are the child, and you have a desire that may be different, but you are asked to use your life to act out the inherited desire.
Mhm. Mm. I think there is a way to honor your parents without silencing who you are. And here's what I mean by that. I remember graduating college and I was on track to I was supposed to go back and get my master's in psychology and finish the whole thing. But at that point, I was like, I really have a burning desire to do fashion. And I always had. And I remember my mom was like, absolutely not on my watch. Not going to happen. Right. And so we were at odds for a few years because I did do the business because I'm like, it's me. I'm going to do what I want to do. But I remember the moment that I was like, you know what? I actually really, after a few years of doing that business, I was like, I really want to get an MBA, like for myself. And I remember how proud she was. And I kind of laughed at myself because I thought, what a happy little compromise, right? Of I had my years to run wild and free and do my thing and do fashion and like, explore myself and whatever. But I also got to give you something to be proud of. And I remember it's so funny when I started working for Spotify, man, immigrant parents. She told everyone she knew. She probably still does. I don't work there anymore. But it also was a full circle moment of I gave her something to be proud of, but tech was an industry that allowed me to not have to compromise who I am. Right. Like I used to work in finance. You kind of have to follow all the rules. Tech was like, come in here with all your tattoos and your crazy hair, but just be smart and apply yourself. But I can be me and give my mom the thing to be proud of. And for me, that was a really great balance of like, I'm not going to change who I am. My parents hate my tattoos. They just know to love me, and I respect them enough to wear quarter sleeves when I'm at their house. You know what I mean? I don't try to like attack you with it. But that's yet another example of I'm respectful enough to honor your boundaries when I'm around you, but I'm going to do me. And I remember I actually spoke to my parents and people thought I was nuts. I have a sleeve, and before I got it, I sat both of my parents down and I told them I was going to do it. And people were like, "Girl, you're 35. Who cares? Why do you have to?" And I'm like, first of all, my culture, you don't understand. You're an adult, but you're not really. But
You're not an adult until someone dies.
right, but also just honoring the idea that they had desires for me. They had a vision for me, and that was about to change. And out of respect, I'm going to let you know that it's going to change. I'm not asking you for permission, but I remember both of them saying, "Wow, it meant so much to us that you honored us in even having the conversation. You could have just showed up with them and said nothing."
Word. And I took that route. Um, that is the route I took with my very Nigerian parents. I remember when I first allowed them to really understand that I'm me,
Yeah.
I'm not you, and
Yeah.
you don't get to live vicariously.
Mm.
It was my first night on the Morgan State University campus, the premier
Oh,
university in all of the land, the
hey, let's
HBCU.
go.
Um, and I remember my mama called me and she was just like, "What time is it?" And I was, and I'm look like, "Well, you know what time it is. You called me."
Hmm.
And she's just like, "And when are you going to your room?" I was just like, "Mommy, where are you? You're at your house.
That
Where am I? I'm in
college,
my new house."
right? You
I'm
can't.
like, this thing where you tell me to go to my room,
It's over.
it's done.
Hmm.
It's quite done.
Hmm.
I appreciate that you taught me what I needed to know.
Yeah, but no thanks.
And nice try.
Mhm.
Like, I will text you when I get back to my room so that you can know that I'm safe because I feel like that's the thing that you're really asking for.
Mhm.
You're checking after my well-being, and I can
Good.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
But what you won't be doing is dictating what time I decide I'm leaving.
That. Correct.
So, and I think that for me, I found a space, and this is something that I told a client recently. And I was just like, parents are not your owners.
Right.
Parents are but a portal. They are a door.
Mm,
You walk through this door to come into this
that's
life.
right.
And I don't know about you, but there's not a door that I've walked through that owns me.
No, no.
Like, it is a way.
Right.
It's a throughway, it's a road, it's a path.
The
It
throughway.
does not own you.
Correct.
Parent also doesn't own you, and because they don't own you, you don't owe them.
That.
And
That.
I think that that for me is often where I sit, and
Yes.
like people are surprised, like people who have seen me with my mama, with my pappy, seen my me and my sisters when we get together, when the family gets together, the cuss words are flying, and people are surprised because
Mm,
they're just like, "You cuss in front of your mama? The fuck I wouldn't." Right?
yeah.
Because I think of it as a testament to number one, how comfortable I am being myself
Mm,
with them,
mhm,
that all of me gets to show up. And they
mhm.
just gonna take what they get,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
But it is also a testament to them,
Mhm.
to allowing the space to be had.
Mhm.
For me to show up in my fullness with these cuss words, because these cuss words come, these degrees come
Yeah.
everywhere that I go.
Yeah.
So for me, I find that I don't ask for permission because
Mhm.
permission is beautiful. And you didn't ask for permission either, right? But like some people ask for permission. I'm just like, I'd rather apologize. I'd
Mm,
rather apologize on the back end for the
mhm.
way that you are uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Or we could discuss the way that you are uncomfortable because I'm not gonna apologize for me showing up the way I am. You made me. I'm looking like every time my mama wants to get to talking about somebody's mouth, I'm looking like, lady, what about you?
Right.
I be
Right.
like, "Where you think I got this mouth from? Baby, it's from you."
And that's the other part is reminding your parents of whatever thing you don't like about me, technically that spirit came from you. Right. And that was the funny conversation about the tattoos because there was no world in which I would have come out of those conversations not getting it. It was going to happen. The appointment was already scheduled. Right. And I remember telling my father, like, sir, you were a designer. You don't think some of that creativity sprinkled down into my soul? So you may not like these tattoos, but it's a portion of who you are and what I got from you, and it's who I am. So essentially, the choice you have is to deny who I am or not. Do you want to deny your child? Because I don't think, right?
And really, do you
Like,
wanna deny
okay,
yourself?
literally, like, I'm not going to deny myself. And if you don't accept this, you're telling me you would be denying me, and I'm not going to accept that. So just like putting you on PSA, like, don't, right? Like, and I remember he said in front of all of my family once, and some people would have been offended by this. I actually smiled. My father actually said in front of a bunch of my uncles, he was like, I hate her tattoos, but I love her so much. That's my daughter. And I said, that's all I asked for. I didn't ask you to love them. I said, love me. You don't have to like what I do ever. You don't ever have to like what I do because I'm grown.
Like, somebody's gonna need to hear that one more time, so can you run it back?
Right? All you have to do is love me. You don't have to love my choices. Your parents do not have to love everything you do. Funny, I can tell when my parents don't like certain things. When I go home, I can just tell the things they don't comment on or like the little slick mo. But that's okay, girl. Feel how you feel. Feel it.
Hey, your feelings belong to you and you can have them.
You can have
But
it.
that piece that you talked about, like, right, like, you did your thing, and
Mhm,
then you decided for yourself to go back and get the MBA. I'm
mhm.
like, that is such a beautiful way of doing. I was like, my parents hit me with the, "You gonna be a what now? A sex you're
Oh,
gonna go and study sex?"
how did that conversation go over? My God.
Like this. Like, I came to this country.
Oh, no.
This is why I come to this country, right? It's like I send you to the store to go and buy bread, and you bring me a cookie.
No. First of all, can I just tell you, Nigerians have the most eloquent way of reading you to fail. And I love
Yes.
boy,
You
y'all
like
are reading you.
wisdom is chasing you. I see you. High five.
That's that's my favorite one. That is the one. That's
And I know that Americans have the like, I'm not one of your little friends. My mom would be like, do I look like your age mate?
your age mate. See, Jamaican moms just quote Bible scriptures aggressively at you. Like, "Oh, okay, girl, thanks. I heard you. And the angel Michael, thanks as well. Heard that. Girl.
But that piece where you talk about like how you reconciled your desires. You had your
Yes.
desires.
Yes.
You knew what your mom wanted for
Sure.
you.
Sure.
And I think the thing that scares me is I see a lot of people throwing away what they want for themselves
Yeah.
because they believe that that is the way to honor their parent. And I'm looking like, I brought them a cookie. I'm still a sex therapist. Ain't shit changed.
Hallelujah. Come on.
Ain't shit changed.
Right. Right.
Right? And my mom certainly she came around faster. And my dad got read for filth by one of my aunties.
Oh.
And that's he came around shortly thereafter.
Okay. Okay. Come on, family unit. Sometimes,
Hey, because
hey,
sometimes somebody got
sometimes,
to read you for filth.
sometimes, sometimes.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he did come around. Now this man will be the first one. Yes, that's my daughter. She's a doctor of the sex.
Doctor of the sex is amazing.
Yes, she's a
Oh,
doctor of the
God.
sex.
I love that. Because again, you chose to pursue something that you knew might have been controversial, but it was the desire of your heart. But also, what I love is, again, like you honored your parents' sacrifice by taking that thing to the highest level.
So I guess I'm wondering, like you talked about how you did it. How do you help, clients be
Mhm.
able to reconcile the space between the two desires to not mortgage what they want until their parents are passed?
Mhm.
Like, how do you honor your parents and live your desires?
You have to first understand the impact of not living them. So, when you think about what does it look like to keep on living for them? And I always use myself as an example. There was a time that I was chasing titles in big tech, right? Before I really leaned into the fact that, like, this is my purpose and this is what I want to do. It was burning me out to the ground. And it was causing me mental health and physical health issues, reproductive issues, you name it. Beans, greens, tomatoes, I had it all. It was the ship was sinking real fast, right? And I remember at one point, and I had a pretty wonderful Black wellness team, and I had an acupuncturist say to me, because she scanned my body and she scanned my liver, and she goes, "You hate your job, and it's not where you're supposed to be, and it's overworking you. The chi is selling on you." And I was like, okay. And she was like, "What is this worth to you? Is this paycheck worth everything I'm scanning and feeling happening in your body right now?" And I remember that was what I needed to hear of, like, okay, so you're honoring your mother with the big shiny job that she can brag to her friends about, and that's fierce. But what is the impact on you? And once you start to really see, like, oh, wait, I haven't seen my friends in 6 months. My partner hasn't seen me because I'm flying in and out every 5 minutes and I always have a company function and I'm always working and my health is failing. I have anxiety now. I didn't have depression before. Like, once she really made me see the reality of the cost, and it's like they say in business, cost benefit analysis, right? What is it costing you, and what would be the benefits of living a life that's more in alignment? Once I get my clients to thinking about, oh, actually I do want to spend more time with my friends, and I have wanted a relationship, and my health is kind of crappy, and like I am pretty tired, and I do want to bing 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 bing, right? And do you see how the decisions you're making right now are robbing you of all of those things? Then it becomes about you and not about your parent. Once you make the connection of the overdraft in your own energy, you're in the red, ma'am. And once you see that you're in the red, now it's time to make some deposits. And that makes you change your decisions of, love you, mom and dad, but like, I'm in the red, babe, and I got to get myself to the black, or else I will have nothing to even give you.
Ooh, that part.
Can't pour from an empty cup. Can't give someone $1 if you're -50. Doesn't work.
Word. And I also am one who doesn't believe that you fill up your cup so that you can fill up others. I'm like, that's not
No, I
what
want see me, I want a jug and a cup because I need a whole, 64 ounce. Y'all can get a little piece of 8 ounce, but I need abundance and overflow. And if I'm not living in alignment with what makes me feel fulfilled, see, that's the whole point of being fulfilled. Then you're full. If you're not living in alignment, you're empty. See it? So it's like, no, I want my 64 plus the 8 ounces for y'all. But that only comes from me doing things that fill me up. If I'm always on E, overdrawn, dry, salty, not good. Here's where, and I hate to say it, Black women talk about healing a lot, but this is the piece where people get tripped up, and I'll give you a great example. If you have, let's say, a father wound, which
Mhm.
creates a lack of confidence and a lack of boundaries, you are going to choose toxic relationships, right? But instead of saying that, you're going to say, these men ain't crap. The dating pool is trash. They haven't healed. He hasn't done the work. You talk to me crazy, do one thing and I'm gone. But what you're not realizing is why are you entertaining wounded people? That takes accountability. To actually heal within yourself, you have to say, "Oh, my father's relationship with me was X, Y, and Z, which created X, Y, and Z pattern, which is why I choose things that feel familiar to that broken template. Oh, that's on me."